Hey, what's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers review. And today, what we're going to be reviewing is the Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Springer. And dang, um, as some of you who have been watching this have known, I have generally positively reviewed the Transformers Siege figures, but I haven't picked up a whole lot of them personally because money's been tight for me and whatnot, and so I've been saving my pennies for the things that I'm most interested in, and but this one I saw pictures of this guy, and I'm a big fan of triple changers, and especially of Springer. And so I saw this guy, and he just looked so good. And so I decided I needed to get him, and I did. Picked him up at a local Walmart yesterday, and he has not disappointed. The thing that struck me first about looking at this figure is just how good his proportions are. Like, he just really just looks good in all of his modes, and to a certain degree, I think he accomplishes that better than any other Springer has. And as you guys know, I'm well versed in my Springers. But I mean, it's not a perfect figure, and I know I say that an awful lot. One of these days, I'm actually going to come across a perfect figure, and I'll be like, okay, guys, that's a perfect figure. It's not a perfect figure. It's got some issues, like as you can see right here. Uh, he's got an issue with his heels wanting to rest like this instead of like this. And looking at the way these are all designed, in a perfect world, it's supposed to rest like that. But because everything here is attached onto panels that open and move around and whatnot, um, those panels want to pop ever so slightly, and it allows it to rest at a lower angle like that. So he does kind of want to lean back a bit, but it's a problem that can be mitigated. Anyhow, in terms of accessories, he comes with um, two swords, not just one, but two swords. And these are, your typical sword material. These are stiffer than the material that they used back in the early teens, 5, 7, 8 years ago. Um, but, they're still kind of a flexible material. He's got a hub for his rotor. That kind of looks cool on camera. And then he also comes with two guns here that can also be combined into one gun. Anyhow, so to get those attached on, of course, they just attach. You can hold this in his hand. He can hold both of them at the same time if you really feel like it. If not, you can put his gun in his hand, and of course, he can hold both guns at the same time. You can attach this onto the side here. Again, if you really feel like it, you don't have to. And then this here doesn't really serve any kind of a purpose. I kind of just like stick it on the back like that. You can attach this onto that peg there, or I guess if you put it like this, and this is nigh unto pointless, but you can attach it onto one of those. I don't know. I gotta tell you straight up, I don't like the sword design. I feel that the Generations Thrilling 30s Springer had a much better design, where the hub and the sword and the rotors was all one unit, and it just worked out so well, and it looked good. And it just so happens that when I bought this figure, the original Generation Springer years ago, I got a defective figure, and when I went and exchanged that, gosh, I forgot to include a sword. So I actually have two of these swords, so I think this guy is going to inherit that. I have the Generation Springer here. I don't have him prepped up to do all of the different comparisons. I will be posting that on my Facebook page, link in the description. And so if you want to see those comparisons, that's where they're going to show up. The Facebook page, by the way, is for everything that I'm doing that's basically not a review. So, when figures I'm excited for, news that I find, stuff that I think looks great, that all goes up on there. News about my channel, what I'm getting, what I'm reviewing, that all goes up on that page. And so check out that link in the description and go ahead and give my page a like, and you'll stay connected with anything that I'm doing in the future. So, alrighty. Anyhow, let's get on to posability for this guy. So his head is on a ball joint. No side-to-side motion really, but he'll look up and down ever so slightly. And of course, full rotation there. His shoulders, like all Siege figures, are not on ball joints. They're on these swivels. Because the nature of the swivel, it won't go all the way around, but he'll move his arm that far forward and that far back. This little part here will move separately. That is for transformation, but you can also use it for posability and whatnot. I know some people like to pose their springers like that. Some people like to pose them like that. He will go out that much. It's not bad, but it's not like amazing or anything. Bicep swivel here, elbow with over 90 degrees of bend. Wrist swivel, it's all great. He's got a waist joint, a little bit hampered by the design of this figure. But, it's as much of a waist rotation. He gets more waist rotation than a lot of us, so, Hips will go forward that much, go backwards that much. They are on a universal joint, so he's got the full Van Damme. Thigh swivel here. Oops. That's one of the things I don't like about this figure. He's got this transformation joint here, and this little peg tabs into a slot in there, but it doesn't tab in super tight. Over 90 degree bend in that knee. They could have done something to tighten that up, I think, but well. His ankle joint is here off to the side. He does get all of the bend of the ankle tilt. He will rotate forward and a little bit back, as I mentioned, and that's it for his posability. So let's do his transformation. So we're going to transform him into, he's got two other modes, his airplane mode, or his helicopter mode, and his car mode. So I'm going to ask my wife for a number, and if she picks an even number, we'll go car mode, and if she picks an odd number, we'll go helicopter. Even car, odd helicopter. Hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
Pick a number between 1 and 100.
79.
79. All right, thank you. It's an odd number, so that's a helicopter, right? So let's go. So to get this guy transformed up into helicopter mode, first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect his backpack out, and you kind of pull on his arms. His arms are tabbed in a lot of different places. There's a tab right down here that pegs into this gray section. There's a tab on this gray section that plugs into that little divot on his arm. And then there's this tab right here that plugs into this little slot right here. So get all those tabs yanked out and his torso will start to float free. You want to rotate his head all the way around. Open these side panels up. Uh-oh, they just both popped off. Wow. The stuff that never ever happens until you turn the flippin' camera on. That has never happened to me. I've transformed this guy a bunch of times. say to you, bleh. That was way more difficulty than it ever needed to be. All right, so basically you got to take and straighten all of this out. Then you can fold these out. I guess I folded them out too soon. And then you want to fold this around and tuck that in over his head. And then you can tuck these tabs in behind the top of that, like so. All right. We're going into helicopter mode, right? So you're going to take these panels, fold them out, fold this out, fold that out. And then you're going to take this and you're going to pull on it, and it'll slide out. This peg right here will tab into the back of his hand, and then this will rotate around, and that's that little pylon all done. Do the same for the other side. So fold out, open up this panel here, pull on that, plug this into the back of the hand, rotate that around. That's all done. Now for the legs, you want to take these legs and you want to pull down the hips like this and like this. You want to rotate, no, you don't want to rotate that. You want to rotate these. Then you're going to take this foot, disconnect it from there. This foot is going to come around. You can't take it around this way. You got to take it around that way. Again with the other side. Take it around that way. Plug it in. Bring this out like that. Pull these little panels out. Bring this out like that. Pull this little panel out. And then you just start tabbing everything together. So these legs are going to tab together like so and like so. Make sure that part's straightened up. These little clips here are going to clip onto these thigh sections like so. That's going to keep all these panels in check here. Then you want to get, there's this double hinge right in here. You want to bend this back so that this part seats inside. See how those will fit together just nicely? Like that. And now what you want to do, and I'm going to show you this once from the top and once from the bottom, is you want to take this so that this part faces down. There is a little kind of a peg in there. You can barely see that on camera. My tripod is going wonky. I need to get myself a better tripod. I used to have a GorillaPod years ago for when I was just doing photography, and worked out super great, but it eventually wore out and I never replaced it with a new one. Anyhow, so there's a little tab in here and a little divot. It's not really a slot, but that will go into there, and then there's this peg that will go into that slot right on his underarm, or on his arm here. And so once you get those, both of those seated, and for some reason this peg and this divot is actually the harder part of this to do. There we go. That's one side. And then from the top, it's also helpful to kind of position that tab there. And then just push on it till it locks into place. And then these little tabs right here are going to fit into these slots right here, and these tabs right here are going to fit into those slots right there. And you just kind of mash everything all together. You can attach his guns onto these little ports right here. Then you take his helicopter blades, rotor, propeller, whatever I can say that pisses off the most people. Stick it on, and there you have him in his helicopter mode, and it looks really good. This is an excellent likeness of the G1 Springer. I like it. I like it a lot. The rotor spins appropriately. This rotor also looks really good in this mode. It sticks out higher than this other one, but I think that's fine. Rotors on actual helicopters tend to stick out quite a bit anyhow, but even the green matches pretty well. So there's that. He does still have his rolly tires. He will actually roll in this mode, roll quite nicely. And that's pretty much it. You can take these guns and attach them onto the ports here, which is fine, but these aren't really solid, so I don't know if I really like that. He does have little 3mm pegs down here, so you can attach, a stand with an appropriate sized thing to it. Have them flying around. He's of course also got 5mm pegs all over, so you can attach all sorts of cool stuff. But alright, let's get him turned into his car mode. So I'm just going to take all this stuff off for now. We're going to disconnect this, which is now firmly tabbed into his feet. I'm going to pull the arms out after we worked so hard to put them in their proper place. And getting him into car mode is actually really easy. So for the arms, what you got to do is you got to untab this panel here from the back of his hand. Flip this around, fold that up, and then put it back in. So untab that panel, flip this around, put that back in, plug it back in. And then when you plug it in this time, you're going to push up this whole section here. And this tab is going to plug into that same slot. Like so. And then we're going to mess around with all of the stuff back here. Split the legs all the way down. Put these hips back into place. Put these legs back into place. We're actually going to basically transform it all the way back into his robot mode legs, with the exception of I'm leaving these little tabs out. And then what we're going to do, because I know I did this, I'm not trying to confuse anyone, it's actually easier that way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it at that point that I mentioned earlier that I don't like, and just rotate them up like that. And what you want to do is you want to kind of plug his legs together using these tabs. And then you want to feed the back, his heels. You'll see there's these divots right here. Those are the same size and shape as, of course, the back of his legs, his feet. So you just want to kind of feed them into those. And then when you straighten everything out, come on, when you straighten everything out, they just kind of go into the right places. Make sure these arms are tabbed in properly. Make sure this gets tabbed in. Now we're going to plug these tabs into those slots there. And then these tabs aren't going to plug in anywhere. They're just going to sit back there behind the feet. And just kind of cover all that gap up. And here he is in car mode. And the way they tell you to do all this is you kind of plug this into there. And then they want you to take these blades and plug them onto the outside of the gun. And then kind of like do that. And so now you get this thing that just like goes all wild. I don't like that at all. If I'm going to do something with that, I'm just going to plug it in like so. Which looks largely the same, but doesn't go all crazy wild when you tilt your figure. I don't really like that either, but you know, because first and foremost, there's no place to put this. And yeah, no place at all. But yeah, I mean, weapon storage, it is what it is. I'd just as soon just leave it somewhere else. Store it, you know, have his weapon storage be in the sandwich baggie or something. But anyhow, so that's Springer in his car mode. And in his car mode, again, he looks really good. Like, he looks very G1, you know. Even looks good from the bottom. Cleans up well. Rolls more or less. There's that little chunk down here that wants to stick out just a bit. But, I mean, all in all, this is a great Springer. I like him. I was playing with him in conjunction to the Generations Springer. And, I mean, I really like that Springer, but I think I really prefer this Springer. You know, I mean, I've got some of the IDW comics, but I never really got into the ones that had Springer in them. I never identified with that version of Springer. And I understand that the Thrilling 30s one is pretty accurate to that version, but this is, like, I mean, it just looks good. And it's got this kind of, you know, I mean, it's got this really good aesthetic and proportional look in all three of its modes that you don't get very often. And that I don't know that any of the third-party ones really nailed it quite as well as this one did. I still think that the Unique Toys Springer has a lot of character. But just this one, I mean, it's like $30, you know, for a figure this good. Whereas, you know, that Unique Toys one is going to cost you at least $100. Well, no, maybe almost $100. But I think this is done really well. He, of course, also has those little pegs where you can attach your little explosion effects and whatnot. So that's cool too. I don't have any of the little weaponizer guys that have those effects, so I can't really show that off. But there's Springer. I heartily recommend this figure. Anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.